What heinous sins have you committed, Jared, that there's blood stains in this room? We are recording in Jared's room today. This is Big Brain Time Debates, episode 3.
Woohoo!
Alright, some quick introductions. My name is Seth. I am recording this podcast on my laptop.
I'm Ira.
And?
Hi, Ira.
Hi.
Hi, Ira.
What else, Ira? Give us a fun fact about yourself. I said I'm recording this podcast on my laptop.
Okay, I have hair.
Oh, man.
Dude. Hey, guys. I'm Kyle, and I'm going to McDonald's later today.
I'm Jared, and I have to be on campus.
That's correct.
He's trapped here. His soul is trapped here.
He cannot leave.
It's tethered to the tree in the middle of campus.
You mean the big oak tree?
Yeah, the big oak
You're
tree.
like the headless
Where all the
horseman.
squirrels live.
Right.
Not like the headless horseman. Man, I'm just... My soul remains here forever.
All right, so today we're in a fairly important debate, I'd say.
I mean, in regards to public safety.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Oh my
Perhaps.
gosh, you're bringing it there already. Okay, he's already playing his hand.
To help educate people properly about how they should be thinking about the topic.
Basically, we're dealing with a fad of technology that actually began in the early 90s?
Late 90s, I think.
Late 90s, yes. We're discussing Furbies today. So the official question that I sent out to the group, let me look it up because I'm also going to need my notes. Last time I was sorely underprepared, but this time I did a little more research. Should Furbies be erased from history? Then I realized that the whole idea of being erased from history has such hefty philosophical and moral problems. So we're just going to go pro-Furby, anti-Furby.
Okay.
So me and Ira are on the pro-Furby side.
Ira and I.
Yep.
Ira and I are... He's an English major, forgive him. Me and I...
Use proper English.
Oh,
So you
gosh.
Proper English,
He's
my
turning
good son.
against me. You're on my side, Ira.
Not against when you're speaking bad English.
Okay. Ira and I are pro-Furby today.
And Kyle and I are anti-Furby. And I would like to emphasize that I'm extremely anti-Furby.
Probably more anti-Furby than me, but I'm on the same side.
Okay, here's the thing. Minutes before the podcast, as I was setting up the laptop, Jared Googled Furbies
For the first time.
for the very first time. And what he found,
Was quite shocking.
he did not realize that these were not just normal stuffed animals. Jared, tell us what you saw.
Well, I found out that they were a lot like Alexas, but they talk to your children, and they're very creepy looking, and it makes me uncomfortable to think that those are out there in the society.
Hey, I'm Furby!
Yeah, so the basic rundown. One thing that I realized was a problem when I listened back through the previous debates was we really didn't establish who or what Jar Jar... Oh, we don't need to keep the thing on because audio levels aren't... Okay, I should probably explain that. We kept having to make sure the computer screen didn't go off because we were having issues with the audio levels, so we needed to watch very carefully for audio peaking. Today we don't need to do that. We do need to watch the time, though. Yeah, we're 4 minutes in,
we're doing
and we
okay.
haven't even started. So,
We're okay,
yay.
we're okay.
But the first week, when I listened to it, I realized people who did not grow up when Star Wars 1 was like this disturbingly hot topic will not even know what a Jar Jar Binks is, probably. So, to be fair, we should probably introduce what a Furby is.
Some context to the Furby.
Yeah, we need some context. So Jared gave his description. I think from our side we should have a description. Ira, do you want to take this one?
No, you can describe it.
Okay.
I'm bad at describing things, so.
Alright, a Furby. Have you ever seen the movie Gremlins? Have you ever wished that the Gremlins were real and in your home?
No.
Commercial?
Have
Is this
you ever
a
wished that the
rhetorical
Gremlins were real and in your home?
Yeah.
Is this a rhetorical question?
So, they're basically an animatronic toy. So their eyes blink, their mouth opens and closes. If you stick your finger in, they go, no, 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 like they're eating you alive.
You're not helping our side by mentioning that in detail.
Yeah, and they start speaking this gibberish called Furbish, and over time they air quotes learn English. So they
Wait a minute,
slowly
they have
begin integrating English words into their vocabulary.
I need to buy one for that English learning module now.
Yeah, that's we'll get to that probably. And they, I think if you stick them upside down, they begin screaming, and their personalities change based on how you interact with them. I'm not actually sure what other interactions you have other than flipping them upside down or feeding them, but they're kind of mysterious even to me after I've done a few hours of research.
Can't believe you did a few hours of research. You were able to do hours of research on
maybe
Furbies.
like 1 or 2 hours.
I
It's still,
overestimated
Dude,
it.
I just 20 minutes.
it's still probably longer than
my
you should
research
have.
was. I'm gonna tarnish my ethos here, but my research was the 2 minutes when you were sitting here setting up the computer.
And you found out what a Furby is.
And I found out what a furry was, and I confirmed that I hate them.
Okay, so I feel like Jared's already pretty passionate about Furbies.
Jared, would you like to start off our argument?
Let's start.
To establish a little bit of why I don't like Furbies, I don't really like the one thing that is very imperative to my personality is that I really despise cutesy animation type things like that. So I generally just hate Furbies. But to back that up a little bit more, I think it's quite terrifying that children own these demonic little monsters that can talk to you back, and after the research that I found, they can be hacked so that adults can talk to creepy adults can talk to children, and
That's only with the smart Furbies, by the way. The 90s Furbies were not capable of such things, even though the government gave, I don't know if it was the government, but there was some panic that, the Russians were listening to us through Furbies. But now the Russians actually could listen to us through Furbies.
I've got some
what do you even have Wi-Fi connection?
facts and
Yeah.
stuff to bring up in a little bit.
and
so.
I didn't even know
you
they
could
were
argue,
selling.
and one could argue.
They rebooted them. Now they have Furby Connect, which is different.
And I mean, one could argue that Alexas and stuff like that do the same thing, but Alexas aren't necessarily geared specifically towards children, whereas Furbies are geared towards children. And
Ooh, I don't like that. That's a good argument.
but think about it, adults
Yeah.
really don't use Furbies, nor should they.
I have a point about that.
All right, go ahead.
Make a quick point.
Oh, it was about adults and Furbies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know adults use Furbies, but they're not geared towards children as Alexas and the Amazon Echoes are geared towards children.
Yeah.
In that same way. So.
That's true, but I will say Furbies have become quite a cultural force among responsible adults who are not being listened on, or probably aren't being listened on by creepy adults, mostly because they're using the older Furbies. But,
Explain, sir.
so, have you heard of odd body Furbies, Kyle?
Oh, gosh, no, not this.
Do you know about the odd bodies?
Is it the legs?
Well, they have the legs. They have the ones that are just very, very you have a large polar bear kind of body, and then you stick the Furby face in it and its brain.
The
so that
mutations.
The mutations, yes. The mutant Furbies are, but they inspire a lot of creativity amongst adults and amateur engineers. Somebody even made a Furby organ. Every key is a Furby with its own note.
But you can be creative in other things besides just the use of Furbies.
Yeah,
I
that's
find
true.
that
I'm not
rather
saying
disturbing.
I'm not saying that you only need
I mean-
Furbies for creativity. That would be absurd. But that it has become a lightning rod for these artists, but also for people struggling with mental illness. Vice. Like Jared's giving me.
I feel
I
like
don't
these things aren't the reason that mental illness is a thing.
Well,
I mean,
that
mental
picture of the one
illness.
with the women's Barbie legs on it, that was disturbing enough to cause a mental illness. Ugh.
So Vice reported.
Oh, you're using Vice against me? No, I love Vice.
I'm using Vice against him.
Go ahead.
There's a joke that people use Furbies to cope, but a lot of those jokes are rooted in the truth, and this is no different, Celia said. Celia is a woman who has Furbies. She says they're not a collection, they're a family. But a lot of jokes are rooted in the truth. Although my love for Furbies hasn't cured it, it certainly made this mental illness more bearable. So while they should be now I'm gonna throw an argument here. They shouldn't be, especially with the nostalgia wave we're going with right now, they should be geared towards adults.
Should they?
Yes. That's my argument.
Should they?
Do you have a counter argument?
That they should be geared towards
That
adults
just
rather than children?
That doesn't.
I don't know how
right.
do you gear Furbies towards adults?
That's a good question.
You find the really weird ones on Tumblr and market towards them.
I mean, honestly, though, with gearing Furbies towards adults, that's kind of like some of these other... because what is the appealing factor of Furbies is not just the fact that they're, these stuffed, weird bird-like, I don't even know how to... It's like what animal to compare them to. Animatronic things is the fact that they speak and respond to you. You don't necessarily have to use Furbies in the sense to gear them towards adults when you have other things like in Japan, those like little holographic anime girls you can just have in your office or home.
Oh, that's no better.
Those things exist.
That's no better.
Or anime weddings, like just VR headsets and you marry your waifu.
Oh no! Oh no! It got worse. It got way worse.
I've seen videos of that before, and it's quite atrocious.
So your defense of Furbies is we should replace them with Japanese cartoon
No, I'm
girls.
saying that there's worse.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be what you're arguing. It doesn't necessarily have to be limited to
You guys are not helping your argument.
I don't even know what side you're fighting for right now. It could go either way here.
Here's my argument though. I understand that it's some deep psychological level. Yes, it might help some people bear mental illness a little bit better. But at what point do they just become attached to it to where they're just not even going to go seek help from psychiatrists and stuff, to where they're just clinging to this as this is my only hope for humanity, this is my only hope to be cured. I'm sorry, I'm gonna trigger so many people by saying this, but I feel like if you have a hole in your heart that can only be filled with Furbies, you really need to get some... I don't know, I'm gonna trigger so many people right
Jared, this isn't supposed to be a personal argument. I don't know why you're attacking me.
I'm not...
But also at the same time, you fill your hole in the heart with several other things besides Furbies. I am arguing this is a pro Furby now because that doesn't hole that you speak of. We all have that, and then we fill it with something, whether that be religion or video games or Furbies.
May I interject here?
Kyle, please interject.
May I get a different argument going away from what we should fill our hearts with instead of Furbies?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna redirect it a little bit and say, Jared, are you arguing that Furbies are preventing people from getting mental treatment?
Dang it.
No, I'm not arguing that they're preventing people from getting mental treatment. I'm saying that people would rely on Furbies for their sole sake of happiness, and that's it.
Huh.
Or people who have stuffed animal collections, not too different from Furbies.
That's fair.
Or stamp collections, or train car collections.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay,
I'm tired of pissing off the public.
You don't know that. They might be in your favor.
No, they're not.
They may say burn the...
You don't know the
Hold on, public. We're about to give out Jared's cell phone number so you can complain to him directly.
Oh my gosh, we're halfway through this argument.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on.
Allow me to... Okay, let's talk about... I want to talk about the threat, the scare factor that Furbies induce in people, I think. So... I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, I used to watch TV, and on Saturday mornings and stuff like that, and they'd have commercials. And one of those commercials was Furbies. And they flipping terrified me. I don't know if it was the person who made the commercial or what, but the scare factor of these things just moving around and on their own without having to be turned on or just making these random sounds out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's scary. And I don't think it could be, obviously it's probably not scary for all children, but I want to bring up another point. It was scary for adults too.